see Pereira and Pereira doing, you know, the Jamal Hill thing where he calls off the ref and then sleeps Ciryl Gane on the White House card.
Alex Pereira had an opportunity to become a 3-time world champ against Ciryl Gane.
Ciryl Gane, people are talking about this. The infinite title shot glitch. He's back again.
I don't know. So, hey, Ciryl Gane looked good in that fight against Tom. Cyryl's gonna be hard to knock out in the first round because he does stick and move. He's not gonna sit there and trade with Pereira. He's gonna jab. He's gonna move. He bounces around, like you said, a light guy. It's gonna be interesting.
Heavyweights, but Ciryl Gane in his DNA is a gigantic, bona fide, legit heavyweight that just so happens to be very, very light on the feet, incredibly fast, can move around, you know, all over the place, shaking and baking, jigging and jiving, moving and grooving, whatever else you want to say, right? Yeah. I think that's a big advantage in this fight here.
Yeah, that's the thing. He kicks so well too. He's not just a guy that's going to be some lumbering heavyweight. I think there's a lot of heavyweights on the roster that Pereira would hands down easily just go out there and KO to death, no problem. This one is a challenge, and I think that's what entices him, whether it was going to be Jones or whether it's going to be Ciryl Gane. You're going for that third belt. If he gets it, you are a legit. And where do we go from here? If he wins that friggin' belt.
And so Alex Pereira, not ever having to worry about that weight cut again, which has burdened him his entire life through his kickboxing career, through his time at 185, which he finally said, I'm not doing it anymore. His time at 205, it's not the same spot. Alex can still make 205. I'm just sharing, like, this is a very different Alex Pereira. I have watched this guy train a lot. He is disciplined. He works hard. He does not miss practice. He's the first guy there. He's the last one to leave. Like, one of these things, the things that you would expect from a champion, but he's always had to fight 2 battles. He's had to get ready to fight the guy that's going to be standing across from him, and he's got to fight the scale. He doesn't have to fight the scale anymore. I not only predict for you that we're going to see a successful, awesome Alex Pereira, I submit for you, you're going to see the best version of Alex Pereira, and I think that's a very...
I agree. I think it's going to be hard for him early on. I think he's going to lose like the first round, maybe the second, and then settle in, but I'm excited, man. It's going to be a good fight.
Dude, and those two fights, 5-round fights, and people are just complaining so heavy about this White House card.
Yeah. The clash between Gane and Pereira has sparked serious debate across the MMA world, with analysts and fans split on how it might play out. Some believe Pereira's relentless pressure and knockout power could overwhelm Gane quickly, while others argue that Gane's footwork and movement will make him incredibly difficult to pin down. That uncertainty is exactly what makes the matchup so compelling. On one side stands devastating power capable of ending the fight in a moment. On the
I think that weight is real. Could he 100%, in particular in that division. But nobody has really finished Ciryl Gane, and his movements is very problematic. Pereira also does get hit tomorrow. Now, can you take a heavyweight punch? Now you're talking about Francis Ngannou power? A real big heavyweight?
You are right, Henry. Ciryl Gane is no slouch. When he was fighting Tom Aspinall, we saw how that fight was starting to look. Listen, I think this is a fantastic fight. I'm not counting anyone out here. I'm not counting Alex Pereira out here because Alex Pereira does have the power to really change things. We felt this way when Alex Pereira said he was wanting to go to light heavyweight. Now he dominated that weight.
Michael Bisping offers an interesting perspective on the matchup. He believes the potential fight between Pereira and Gane is actually more fascinating than the Jon Jones bout many fans originally wanted. According to Bisping, a fight with Jones would likely revolve heavily around wrestling and grappling. Jones would probably look to slow Pereira down with takedowns and positional control, limiting the striking exchanges. Against Gane, however, the dynamics change completely. The fight is far more likely to...
Alex Pereira, interim heavyweight title. Right? I thought it was going to be Jones and Ciryl. It's not. Okay. Yeah. I still think it's a tremendous fight. I think in some ways it's a better fight. We said this on the post-fight show. I said it on the YouTube video, and people were like, oh yeah, you would say that, company man. No, listen, Jones, it would be a spectacle, and it would be great to see Pereira versus Jones. Of course it would. But in terms of, you all just shit, and everyone's been shitting on Charles Oliveira taking down Max Holloway. Do you not think Jon Jones would take down Alex Pereira? Of course, that would be the strategy. I'm not saying Pereira can't stop a takedown, but that's what he's going to try and do, because on the feet, Pereira could very well knock him out. Well, Ciryl Gane and Alex Pereira, they're going to put on one hell of a display.
Bisping also points to the physical and stylistic differences between the two fighters. While Pereira's power is undeniable, Gane is a natural heavyweight who has spent his career competing at that size. It's not just about being bigger, It's about understanding how to move and operate at that weight. Gane is known for his agility, quick footwork, and ability to glide around the octagon despite his size. Bisping believes those attributes could create real challenges for Pereira. Moving up to heavyweight might sound simple, but the reality is more complex. Extra weight can impact speed and endurance.
You have weight classes for a reason. There's also a reason why no one's become a 3-weight division champion.
Yeah, it's
he
so
couldn't
hard.
make 185 by almost killing himself. Now he's going up to heavy, where it's not. I mean, naturally he walks around as a heavyweight, but he's not naturally a heavyweight fighter. So what will happen? He'll be heavier, which will slow you down a bit. He will have, I think, extra power. I still think he can take the shots. I think he's still got the power to knock out heavyweights. But Ciryl Gane, in his DNA, is a gigantic, bona fide, legit heavyweight that just so happens to be very, very light on the feet, incredibly fast, can move around, you know, all over the place, shaking and baking, jigging and jiving, moving and grooving, whatever else you want to say, right? I think that's a big advantage in this fight.
Paul Felder shares the belief that this fight could be very competitive, though his reasoning focuses more on how the rounds might unfold. He explains that against a fighter like Jon Jones, Pereira would likely spend long stretches defending takedowns or working from the ground, which would significantly limit his striking opportunities. But against Gane, that scenario becomes far less likely. Instead, the fight transforms into a striking heavy battle. From Felder's perspective, that makes the matchup far more...
I think you're right with that it's definitely going to be a much more competitive, much more exciting affair. Whereas even if Pereira had success against Jon Jones, you're right, a lot of that time would be spent at some point defending some sort of takedown or not defending the takedowns and getting taken down, waiting for his opportunity in the next round to be able to strike. This is going to be a big boys kickboxing in there. We saw how good Ciryl Gane looked when he was fighting Tom Aspinall before the eye pokes. He was landing good shots. He's athletic. He can move. These are two heavyweights that can move and can strike. It's going to be a banging ass.
When discussing the matchup and its odds, Felder remains realistic in his assessment. He doesn't dismiss Pereira's chances, but he emphasizes that moving from middleweight all the way to heavyweight is an enormous leap. It's not simply a matter of gaining size, it's about adapting to an entirely different level of power and durability. Heavyweight fighters carry serious knockout ability, and Gane has been competing against that kind of force for years. While Pereira certainly possesses...
This one's surprising. Ciryl Gane, minus 160. It's only a slight underdog, favorite, but still a favorite. Alex Pereira, plus 140. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's kind of accurate. And I think that's a lot of it is we're basing the fact that he's moving up to heavyweight, Pereira. He really started off as a middleweight. Now, granted, he's a much bigger man now, and I don't think there's any world in which he could go back down to 185 pounds. But still, you're going from, I was able to make middleweight to now I'm fighting at heavyweight, where these men are huge. And again, Ciryl Gane is used to the threat of nasty power coming his way in every fight.
For Pereira, the goal had always been to reach the heavyweight division and take on whoever stood in front of him. When Gane's name surfaced as the likely opponent, Pereira saw it less as a personal target and more as the natural next step in his journey. That detail is important because it reveals his mindset. His move to heavyweight wasn't built around one specific rival. It was part of a broader ambition to challenge himself at the...
Gave them a deadline, like a time frame that I wanted to fight until June. You know what I mean? Nothing specific. It was talks for April, but was way before, and I saw that the timing was not going to be April no more. But I never said I want to fight the White House, I want to fight this guy. Just the timing came to a good timing, and then I think that...
When Pereira speaks about Gane, he shows clear respect for the French heavyweight's abilities. He recognizes Gane as a true heavyweight who combines intelligence, movement, and technique rather than relying purely on size and power. Pereira notes how patiently Gane constructs his fights, rarely rushing exchanges and instead controlling distance and timing. That thoughtful style makes Gane a complicated opponent to solve. Pereira has studied that approach closely and believes he understands what to expect. Still, he knows this fight represents a major test, one that could prove whether he...
Gave them a deadline, like a time frame that I wanted to fight until June. You know what I mean? Nothing specific. It was talks for April, but was way before, and I saw that the timing was not going to be April no more. But I never said I want to fight the White House, I want to fight this guy. Just the timing came to a good timing, and then
Chael Sonnen looks at the situation from a broader career perspective. He points out that most fighters spend their entire careers chasing a championship belt, so willingly walking away from one is extremely rare. In Sonnen's view, that decision signals that Pereira is pursuing something bigger than a single title defense. Having already achieved success across multiple divisions, Pereira now appears focused on building a legacy that extends beyond championships alone. To Sonnen, the Gane fight represents another bold step in that pursuit of greatness.
I'm following the golden rule in life. I'm putting myself in somebody else's shoes. I worked my entire life. I sacrificed whatever that meant. Physically, mentally, relationship, like whatever it took, got put on hold and got put in second position so that I could win a belt. When you get a guy that's won as many as Alex, I imagine that it gets looked at different. Like when Jon Jones gave his belt back at 205 pounds, I could not relate. I could not imagine having so much success that I could give a world title away. It's the opposite. I wanted to win a world title. So I just share with you, like, everything's on the table, including the notion that Pereira is moving up and he's going to show everybody that he's big enough and good enough and can move up. And then after that, we'll look at a title. Like, all of these things are...
Sonnen also highlights Pereira's weight cut as a crucial factor that could reshape the fight. For much of his career, Pereira has had to balance two battles at once, preparing for his opponent while enduring a demanding weight cut. Competing at heavyweight removes that burden entirely. Without the strain of cutting significant weight, Pereira could enter the fight with more energy, improved endurance, and sharper focus. Sonnen believes fans may see a noticeably different version of Pereira, one who can dedicate every ounce of preparation strictly to the fight itself.
His life. The number one reason a fighter retires is because he doesn't want to make weight anymore. And no fighter will ever retire and tell you it's because I'm tired of the lifestyle and everything that goes into the scale, but that's the number one reason. The number one reason that Khabib stopped, he didn't want to make weight anymore. Just by example. And so Alex Pereira, not ever having to worry about that weight cut again, which has burdened him his entire life through his kickboxing career. Through his time at 185, which he finally said, I'm not doing it anymore. His time at 205, it's not the same spot. Alex can still make 205. I'm just sharing, like, this is a very different Alex Pereira. I have watched this guy train a lot. He is disciplined. He works hard. He does not miss practice. He's the first guy there. He's the last one to leave. Like, one of these things, the things that you would expect from a champion, but he's always had to fight two battles. He's had to get ready to fight the guy that's going to be standing across from him, and he's got to fight the scale. He doesn't have to fight the scale anymore. I not only predict for you that we're going to see a successful, awesome Alex Pereira, I submit for you, you're going to see the best version of Alex Pereira. And I think
the analysts at MMA Bad focus closely on the size and speed dynamics between the two fighters. They point out that Gane isn't just the bigger man. He also moves with surprising fluidity for a heavyweight. That blend of size, mobility, and striking could disrupt Pereira's rhythm early in the fight. Gane's stance and kicking arsenal might also limit Pereira's ability to set up his usual power shots. Because of that, the early rounds could become complicated for Pereira, forcing him to adjust before he can fully impose his offensive game.
Against Alex Pereira, I think Pereira's going to need to, like, touch him to the body with the calf kicks, all this stuff. But it's crazy, though, because you look at, like, the Ankalaev fight, and I feel like if I talk about the X's and O's, it doesn't really matter. Like, Pereira's just going to walk him down and bomb him out somehow and
Gosh, see, I wonder that too. I mean, Jamal Hill, southpaw, Pereira ended up cracking him with a left hook. But Ciryl Gane is so fast. He's large.
He won't be there.
That southpaw takes away his calf kick a little bit. He's bigger. He's faster. I think Ciryl Gane's going to get.
Despite those advantages for Gane, MMA Bat also raises doubts about whether he can maintain control for the entire fight. Their analysis suggests that even if Gane builds an early lead on the scorecards, Pereira has a history of making adjustments as fights progress. Pereira often studies his opponent's timing and habits before finding the moment to strike. In their prediction, Pereira might drop the opening rounds but gradually close the distance, decode Gane's rhythm, and eventually land.
I agree. I think it's going to be hard for him early on. I think he's going to lose like the first round, maybe the second, and then settle in. But I'm excited, man. It's going to be a good fight.
Dude, and those two fights, 5-round fights, and people are just complaining so heavy about this White House card.
Yeah. Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo also weighed in on the matchup, focusing on the balance between size and power. Cejudo expressed concern that Gane's durability as a true heavyweight could make him extremely difficult to finish. He also pointed out that Pereira has absorbed clean shots in lighter divisions, which raises questions about how he would handle punches from a naturally bigger opponent. Usman, however, believes the fight remains very competitive. He argues that Pereira's explosive power gives him the ability to end the fight at any moment, making this clash far closer than it might appear at first.
I don't think he gets past Ciryl Gane. I think that weight is real. Could he 100%, in particular in that division. But nobody has really finished Ciryl Gane. His movements is very problematic. Pereira also does get hit tomorrow. Now, can you take a heavyweight's punch? Now you're talking about Francis Ngannou power? A real big heavyweight?
You are right, Henry. Ciryl Gane is no slouch. When he was fighting Tom Aspinall, we saw how that fight was starting to look. Listen, I think this is a fantastic fight. I'm not counting anyone out here. I'm not counting Alex Pereira out here because Alex Pereira does have the power to really change things. We felt this way when Alex Pereira said he wanted to go to light heavyweight. Now he dominated that way.